I mean, Angela was in the chat room last night. You know, she's
I
a
don't
fan
mind
of ours.
Angela,
No.
but like I said before, I don't mind anyone. And you can take what everyone says about each other, and once again, you can usually find the truth somewhere in the middle. You keep trying. That's the thing. You keep trying to put puzzle pieces together on something that like is a long, drawn out history between the two of them. Like Debbie came on the other night and said, "You and I have known each other for 7 years, and you're trying to put puzzle piece together that."
Yeah.
Like,
but that's the type of person I am. I just have to know. I mean, I like to talk shit, and I'm really good at it. But
but a lot of it's hearsay right now. You can't take any of that shit to the bank.
Exactly. So I'm getting everybody's hearsay for my own entertainment purposes, and I'm intrigued. I am interested in this world. It's like a little hobbit world. They're like little hobbits.
First of all, DJ Bad Guy Nation, bail bonds businesses are quite lucrative, I hear, especially nowadays. There's a lot of crime in the U.S.
Gomez puts most of her income towards them.
Too many times, and not on my own account, but I've had to go bail people out of jail. Yeah. And in this little town, the same bail bondsman lady comes up every time, and I actually know her personally besides that. I knew her in another business she worked in, and she comes up to me and she goes, Liz, what are you doing? Like, bailing this person out. I go, honestly, I'm not. Their parents got a hold of me, and I'm the only one in town, and so I got to do this. I was like, so I'm here, and I'm bailing this person out.
I bailed a lot of people out of jail.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to leave. And she's like, what? Look, she's like, look at these charges here. Look at. I was like, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, darling, but I can't. Like, I'm here against my will, believe me. And, I'm just here to, be the upstanding person that has, a career and a place to live and all that. And apparently, and then, I had people hand me this money to go, so I had to stand up and, like, vouch for these people. And, I personally, to make sure that I don't get in trouble, I make sure they make it to court because I am in this town and I know everyone.
I do want to check something, though. I want to get back over to that show. I wonder if I've been blocked again. Because, that was my goal for the one night.
Well, see, here you go. You're playing the same game that Jew and Debbie are playing with each other. You're in there, You're making nice, you're talking nice to Debbie, and now you're going to get blocked, and we got, Now you're playing the same game that they're all playing.
I know, it's fun.
Jesus Christ. To where, like, we talk.
Fireball down.
Yeah, we talked to Debbie.
I need more Fireball is the issue.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'll just say hi. Oh, I can chat.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, and it's not like I'm playing their game.
I don't know. Actually, now that I spoke to Debbie and all that, and we did our, like, test runs with each other, I actually had to contact Spreaker to figure out what was going on, so we'll see what happens.
Last night during the show when we talked about you being blocked, you get a 3-strike rule, and I think that day that you were trolling all the religious groups, you got your 3-strike.
What?
Yeah.
It's a real thing?
Oh.
No, because I can chat on other people's shows.
I'm getting a call.
Yeah, pick it up.
Hello?
Listen, what the fuck?
So this should be better because this is phone to phone.
Hi,
I'll have the clarity of my microphone, but it'll be all right. What may I do for everybody?
Jew. You had Felicia on your show last night, correct?
Did I what?
You had Felicia on your show last night.
For quite some time.
Jew, why bring Felicia onto the show? What was going on there?
Why not?
Well, there was a lot of talk substantially about Debbie and all that, and there's this feud going on between you and Debbie, and my take was that I told Felicia today, I was like, you're being used as a middleman, because both parties right now are listening to everyone to see what everyone else is saying. Like, what's going on?
Well, that's one way to look at it, but you're going to get thrown through the revolving door anyway, so you might as well get used to it now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, is Felicia part of this revolving door right now? Now, as of tonight, Jew, she went from whatever with calls on the Debbie and this and this. Oh, okay, everything okay. And then she goes on the other, okay, and everything. And then tonight she's like, oh, well, my whole goal is to be blocked from Debbie. So I'm sitting there going, okay, what happened, everyone? What happened? Like, what's going on?
Well, now hold on a second. She's not going through my revolving door because I don't play these games. However, you're all going to go through that revolving door because, especially if you're women, because she's a 56-year-old woman who's insanely jealous of any other woman. Just listen to her talk about all the women that she encounters.
Right. And I know.
And I said this yesterday, which I think it has to be clearly said. Have you ever heard anybody who's had so many problems with so many people?
There's so many episodes. I don't know how I'm going to sort through them to even figure out which problem she has. But
no, I'm saying by her own words. Have you ever met anybody who, right off the bat, tells you that, well, I don't get along with this one, and I don't get along with that one, and I don't get along with this one either, and well, they're all against me, and
that's every woman I've ever met, Jew.
What's that?
That's every woman I think I've ever met in my entire life.
Oh, well, then this one will be on steroids. You'll find out.
No, and I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm not saying, but I'm sitting there going, and now Debbie Daly is live right now, saying I told you so, and she's going through the whole shebang now, and going through your shows, and everyone's going through each other. So that's why I'm wondering, like, hold on. As I told Felicia, I was like, Felicia, you gotta calm your tits, pull back a little bit, and
But don't you realize that I am playing with her mentally, and I can tell you that, and I can say that as many times as people will listen, and she will still fall for it. She can't help herself.
Well, and that's the thing. I do know. I can see that because when it's very obvious. Because when you do your shows, like I don't even have to go in and listen most of the time to figure out what you're talking about because like your title is very indicative of what's going on. And it's all
sometimes,
like.
No, sometimes the titles are indicative, but not always.
Yeah, it usually has something to do with what's going on.
Well, I think when I make a title and I call it Debbie Daly, the lying cuntbag whore of Spreaker, that might be. You might say that that's indicative. I guess I could agree with
that. It's a little indicative, Jew.
I mean, sometimes I make it obvious, and sometimes I don't.
Yeah. Well, now you went from. And remember, at the beginning, when we started our podcast over here, and it was just simply the Friday Night Shit Show, and then we did the Saturday Night Something, which I ended because there was just too much drinking going on over the weekend. So I ended the Saturday Night Something.
It was terrible.
Right. Well, and that's it. There was 2 nights in a row of that shit going on, and so I'm like, no, I'm gonna pull it back and bring it back to one. And we have our good moments, we have our bad moments, and it usually is. If you can always tell when I don't have enough time to write the show, you can tell that it gets pretty fucking bad that Friday because I don't have enough time to organize a whole group of people and throughout the week because it literally takes me a week to organize a shit show. And to be able to try to control a shit show crowd. I mean, it's a lot of people drinking, and if I don't have the time to organize it, then it just turns into like a double shit show, even a triple shit show. But
yeah, the scary part is it almost started to make sense to me.
Well, and some of them will, and like, you can see where you can literally track where I have done my most writing versus where I've done my least amount of writing. You know, depending on environmental factors, like what I have going on that week. And I don't tell everyone what I had going on that week. And I literally go, all right, guys, like, we're going to wing it this time. And then those turned into, like, the worst ones yet. But, and that's fine. I don't care. It is called the Friday Night Shit Show, which you can't really expect anything less out of that, right? But remember,
I would agree with that.
When we first went on the air, like, I think you and I talked one time on your chat rooms, this, and then when I was it was around Easter time, and Jewish producer was on and all that, and everything was fine. Like, oh, this is Liz, and Liz, what the fuck, listen. So then I think that was the last thing I ever heard from you, was that time. And then the next thing I heard was you on Debbie Daly's show, going, you know what? No, this is horrible. They got to work on the sound. I know I have to work on the sound, Jewish, but this is not a serious show. You know, if I were I have a quote-unquote...
I don't think I don't think I was ragging on your sound.
Yeah, you were. You one time. It was one time. It was the one time. The one time I think I heard anything from you, and it was a show with Jewish producer and you, and it was around Easter time because it was the time. Remember, I was goosing the Easter Bunny and said Adam needed bail money because security came after us in the mall. And Adam and I went and hid in the nearest bar and kind of made a joke out of it. And it was just at that point, I think.
I must have missed all that. But I think my biggest pet peeve was the use of the word like every 3 words.
That's Felicia.
I want to take hot barbecue tongs and stab my eyes when they do that.
Yeah, you and me both. That's Felicia. That's who you had on your show last night. That's Felicia.
That's public speaking.
But she wasn't doing that last night.
No, she wasn't doing that last night, but she does do the like thing a lot.
I admitted that to you, One Angry Jew. Yeah, I do think it was me. I probably did it.
Oh, I couldn't tell who was doing what. But listen, I got a 9-year-old that doesn't do it because I kept him from doing it.
Well, and that's the same thing with my dad when we'd be at the dinner table, and but then I can hear you there because when we said, I know it wasn't me because when we said the word like at the dinner table when we were describing, he'd take a fork and stab our elbows with it. Not stab like there was blood, but he'd poke us with a fork. Because my dad had the exact same hate for that word that anyone else did. So there'd be 4 of us, 4 kids, at a dinner table, and we'd be like, well, like this and this, and boom, like right with a fork, right into the elbows, you know.
And as I told Felicia last night, I have a cousin. He's in his 40s. He's a retired colonel from the Air Force. He's got an IQ probably of 150. He's brilliant. He's got 2 degrees, 2 PhDs from MIT, degrees from Drexel University. You name it. His resume is unbelievably impressive. And yet, when you talk to him, every 5 words out of his mouth is like. I want to strangle him.
Whoa.
Because it just detracts. If you talk to him, you would never know, or you wouldn't figure out initially how educated he is, and yet he's doing this like crap all the time.
Right. Well, I know when I went through college, and I went through 3 different majors, and my accounting one was the first one. And then when I got done with my accounting one, I went through biology and chemistry, but that was all to be a doctor. I was originally supposed to be a doctor. And then divorce. We all know the fun of divorce, but that's neither here nor there. But public speaking was one of the classes that we had to take. And public speaking, they hated that word too. And you could have a brilliant topic, and you could have a brilliant speech with very informative information and slideshows and the whole thing. But if you said like, she'd fail you.
Right.
She would fail you on it. She hated it just as much as anyone else. Because there is no liking.
And I count the ums. I listen to people when they do speak. Look, I'm not a professional speaker, but I could be.
Right.
I've given speeches to crowds of 5,000 people. That's not an exaggeration.
Well, you have to remember, too, that my Friday night shit show that I hold is a bunch of people drinking. And so things that you wouldn't consider probably proper, the way, like you're hearing me speak now, like I speak, I said like, I'm sorry, but you hear me speak now.
But understand something. I understand the premise of your show.
Right.
So
well, you didn't, though. But you didn't.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But
you did, though, Jew.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is if I walked in someplace and the conversation was, well, like, I was like this, I'd be running for the door.
Right, and you're right. But if you walked into a bar and if you were half-cocked, too, you wouldn't be running as fast as you would be if you were to walk into a business and hear the secretary speak like that.
Then I crawl for the door. But you're exactly right. Most of this comes from public speaking. But I learned public speaking in the last year of high school.
Sure. But once again, okay, and I think you're absolutely correct. If I were to walk into a business and I were to be even greeted by a secretary that had that verbiage, I would in my mind, I would flip